In this video, I will explain the definition of a cold email and how it is different from spam. In fact, I will even go through every single steps you need to do to avoid being marked as a spammer when sending cold emails. We'll also briefly touch on GDPR and whether it impacts your cold email campaigns or not. Hi guys, I'm Guillaume and I'm the CEO of LEMLIST. Being a CEO of a cold email outreach tool, you can imagine I get a lot of questions about, do cold emails still work? What are some best practices to avoid spam filters? And does the introduction of GDPR pose a threat for email salespeople? Yes, cold email still works, but messaging don't. Of course, there's a way to avoid spam and improve your email deliverability. I'll actually share a few tips in a minute. And no, GDPR does not forbid cold emailing. But before we dig a little deeper into each of these individually, let's start with the basic. What is a cold email? Cold email is an email you send to prospects that have no prior relationship with you and that haven't opted in to receiving in the first place. Think of it as a modern way of door-to-door sales, only much more efficiently. Cold email is not the same kind of message as a newsletter, for instance. Quickly put, a newsletter is a way of communicating with a much broader audience. It contains a lot of visual and it sends as a blast to everyone at the same time. In the opposite corner, we have cold email. Contrary to the newsletters that use product-related messaging and content distribution, a cold email is a one-on-one type of an email tailored for a specific audience to grab their attention. You use it to drive interest, warm up your leads, and move them down your sales funnel and eventually convert them. That's why it's critical to separate cold emails from newsletter, because many salespeople make a huge mistakes when they decide to use tools like MailChimp, the best in-class newsletter tool, by the way, to send cold emails. They don't realize that they are literally trying to drive a car on water. As a result, they dramatically lower their email deliverability and double the chances of being flagged as a spammer. Never use an email marketing tool for your cold email, nor vice versa. It makes no sense. But speaking of spam, is cold email spam essentially? Absolutely not. This assumption is so ridiculous. Let me give you some context. I'm going to use the same example from before, door-to-door sales. A salesman that knocks on your door for the first time asking you whether you're interested to buy an encyclopedia is not going to go to jail. He has a legitimate interest to try to sell you an encyclopedia because he saw the way you take care of your garden and he wants to earn some money along the way. But he will be spending the night in jail if he continues to knock on your door when you clearly mentioned that you were not interested. Cold emails work in the exact same way. Don't know if you know, but there is such a thing as CanSpam Act. It states that you are able to send emails to business people that you do not know. However, you have to play by the rules that are all outlined in Federal Trade Commission's guide. We'll leave you the link in the description. So, sending cold emails would get you the first-class ticket to spam, but bad messaging, being boring and misleading your prospect, definitely will. What are some of the main reasons why people are being marked as spammers? The first reason was described seconds ago. It's using marketing tools such as MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, or HubSpot to send your cold emails. That's wrong for two reasons. First is the fact that these tools group a lot of their users on the same server so they can manage high volume messaging. If someone who's using the same server as you is spamming people, your deliverability will directly be affected and your emails will be more likely to end up in the small folder. It sucks, right? Another threat for you here is that these tools send all emails at once as a one-time blast. This also lowers your email deliverability in the end. The trick with cold emails and why it is so different than email marketing is in spreading them out. In other words, sending emails one after the other. It's precisely why they don't go to spam or promotion tab, because they're being sent as one person went and sent them individually. The second reason is also technical. It has to do with invalid emails in your prospect list. If you upload emails that haven't been verified, this will result in a higher bounce rate and your email reputation will be at stake. Thirdly, the way your audience interact with your cold emails. It will definitely have an impact on your email performance. That's why it's of utmost importance for you to write cold emails that talk about what your prospect needs or want to hear. Don't go for a desperate salesy right hook. Instead, play to grab the attention and make them intrigued. The goal of the cold email is not to convert a customer, rather it's to get on a call with that person or engage into a conversation. Your content and language you're using need to be positioned that way. If they don't do that, some of them will mark your email as spam, and well, by now you know what happens next. The final reason, and it's the most boring one but crucial nonetheless, is email authentication and never mislead your audience. Domain authentication is a critical component of any email marketing strategy. Think of it as exactly the same process as when you're checking in for your flight. Custom officers need to verify your identity before you can actually board the plane. Email authentication works the same way. The provider performs an ID check. In other words, they want to verify that the email is actually coming from you and not from somebody else. This is the way the internet fights spammer. Simply put, you have to set up your SPF and your DKIM. How to do that? Check the links in the description below. I left you a nice tutorial. After you authenticate your domain, never ever mislead your audience. Pushy subject line, clickbait, and making promises you can keep will do you no good. Great, we finished about the technical part about spam. But now I'd like to share a few tips, best practices in other words, that will help you push your results beyond average and never have you worry about spam. This is what cold emailing is all about. Number 1, personalization. Great salesmen don't play the odds, they play the man.
I told you this before, I'm going to tell you again. I don't play the odds, I play the man.
In other words, you want to have your email tailored individually or for a careful drafted niche segment. This doesn't mean having first name or company name tags, right? It means boiling it down to the smallest details, putting yourself in your customer's shoes and emphasizing with their position. Do your homework, research your prospects, and then, based on the research, craft a message that speaks their language. You will be amazed what kind of result you'll get. Number 2, do not believe the typical email myth. In the world of email outreach, there's a lot of noise. Since almost any business and entrepreneurs use email as their sales weapon, it kind of opened the gates for a lot of opinions and myths. Today, I'd like to tell you about the most dangerous ones. So, avoid images at all costs. Keep your subject line and copy short. Send emails at a specific time and date. These are all the myths that are suffocated by personal opinions. Do not avoid images in your cold emails because they work brilliantly. Just check out how one of our users used personalized images in both his first email and his follow-up to get an amazing 52% reply rate. 52%. Link is in the description, and images do work, and they work great. Keeping your copy short. Oh boy, not a single proof of that proves that short emails perform better and that people don't scroll down to read. None, 0. As long as it matters and it's relevant for your prospect, they will read it. Best time and date to send cold emails? Just because 9 a.m. or Friday works for you, it doesn't mean it will work for me. Go test for yourself and see what works for you. Instead of wasting time reading somebody's historical data, spending on sending more emails and analyzing your stats. To wrap up this myth, it's crucial to be a good practitioner and not a blog reader. Go, test, see how different tactics performs for you. Back to best practice. Number 3, get to know your prospects. Before you start writing emails, you need to figure out your target audience. You should pay attention to quite a few things, as there are multiple segments within every audience and value proposition tend to vary. The main reasons behind poor cold email performance are either a list of badly selected prospects or a pitch that didn't resonate with them in the first place. Best practice number 4, avoid fake complimenting. Look, we're all very much aware how spam looks like, and 9 out of 10 times we immediately delete these emails. So why bother? Finally, GDPR. Are cold emails illegal? Here's what GDPR officially states under recital number 47 named overriding legitimate interest. The processing of personal data for direct marketing purposes may be regarded as carried out for a legitimate interest. What GDPR does is it tries to fight spammers. It does not forbid cold email outreach. Just think about how door-to-door sales in comparison. You're not doing anything illegal if you think a neighborhood needs air conditioning because it's hot. You knock, you ask, and in case you get rejected, you move on to the next house. Knocking on the same door over and over again and trying to sell the unsellable is what's illegal. That's all I have for you in this video. Hope this helps and give you a fresh perspective on certain things. If it does, I'd be thrilled to see you subscribe to our channel, as we will be posting a ton of stuff that can be useful for you guys, like best cold email strategy, free templates, and a lot more.